Hey everybody, it's Brooke with The Buttered Home and welcome to my messy kitchen. Today we have a very easy bread recipe for you. This is Rosemary Beer Bread. Now, if you've been with me for very long, you know that I am bread challenged. I have tried all the bread recipes during the quarantine cooking era of 2020. I even tried my hand at homemade sourdough. It just didn't work out. We were sour, but I never could make any dough. So I have spent years wanting to make bread, but I just don't do real well at it. So I had come up with this recipe that takes all the guesswork out of it. Now, I'm not saying that homemade bread where you have two different rise periods is not a great thing, because it is, but sometimes you just want homemade bread and you want it kind of fast. So if you're that person, or if you're like me and you need something to make homemade bread but make it quick and easy and something that is almost guaranteed not to fail, then we have you covered with this Rosemary Beer Bread. There's no rising time, no yeast or anything like that. The secret is in the beer portion of the bread. Now, if you are sensitive to alcohol, just know that all the beer does, it's not a lot, it's 12 ounces, and all it does is it helps the bread rise. Now, you can use diet root beer or something like that, but that's going to give you a darker bread. So I suggest that if you can, that you use just good old pale light beer, because that's going to give you the texture and the chew of the bread and the rise and the puffiness that you're looking for. So we are going to show you now how quick and easy it really is. So just like a lot of our other recipes, this is the way that I like to make it. Now, the basic recipe is very simple, and you certainly don't have to put the rosemary in it, or you can put a lot less rosemary in it. That's fine too. But bread is earthy to me. So I like to have earthy, warm, kind of comforting flavors in it. So the cheeses that we add to it really help complement the rosemary. So feel free to make this recipe just like all of our other buttered home recipes your own, and omit or substitute whatever you would like. So here in a rather large bowl, I have 2½ cups of self-rising flour. And to that I have added about a tablespoon of chopped fresh rosemary. If you're going to use rosemary and you're going to use dried rosemary, then you're only going to want to use about 1/4 of that. So about 1/4 of a tablespoon will do just fine, because dried herbs are naturally stronger in flavor. So I've got my trusty whisk sifter here, and I have just added that rosemary in. And to this we're going to add about 3 tablespoons of sugar. And the sugar actually does not make the bread sweet. It works with the beer in order for it to help it rise. So we are adding that sugar in and kind of sifting it in, so to speak. So now to this we're going to add just a pinch of salt, because the salt helps give the bread flavor. And who does not like cheese bread, right? So we have a 1/2 cup of shredded cheddar and a 1/2 cup of Parmesan cheese. You can do like this, the finely ground Parmesan cheese like I have, or you can do the shredded, and it's just fine. If y'all hear some hissing behind me, I'm cooking behind me in my pressure cooker. So that's what we are. We try to do all the things all at one time here at the Buttered Home. But if not, if you wanted to use shredded parm, that's fine too. I'm a huge proponent of using what you have on hand, not going out and running and buying something just for one particular recipe. So I tend to do that a lot, and that is a good rule of thumb. So we're just going to sift all those together, and you'll notice I'm just running my whisk back and forth just to make sure that that cheese kind of gets enveloped in the flour mixture. because you don't want your cheese to clump. So that's why we add it before we add the liquid. And now we are going to add in 8 to 12 ounces of room temperature light beer. You can use dark beer if you would like. It will make your bread a little darker and a little stronger in flavor. Now, bread is a lot like cake. You only want to mix it just until it comes together and you have this pretty sticky dough. All right, so now I am going to spray a loaf pan really well with nonstick spray, and then I'm going to spread my bread in it, and it will go into a 375-degree oven from anywhere from 35 to 45 minutes. So you know your oven, just start checking it at about 30 minutes, and when it's browned and risen on the top, it's ready. Then we're going to cool it in the pan for 10 minutes before we turn it out and cut it and show you how glorious it is. So we will be right back in a few minutes. Okay, everybody, we are back. We finished a 35-minute cook time and a 10-minute cool time in pan, and my house smells wonderful and this bread looks delicious. So we are going to turn it out of the pan now and show you how perfect it is. And I'm just going to carefully take it and turn it out on my board because it's still kind of hot. It's still steaming. But look at that perfect, crispy, crunchy top, and the bottom is all done and nice and brown. You've got those speckles of cheese and some of that wonderful rosemary in there. And it is best when sliced and served right out of the oven. So I minced that rosemary very fine, so it's hard to see on the overhead camera, but there are just flecks of it in here. And the reason why I mince it so fine is because Big D is not a huge fan of rosemary. He says that it's like biting into a small pine tree. So I mince it up really fine so you get more of the flavor and less of that texture. So if you're not an herby textured person, I challenge you to try mincing it up really fine. And we're just going to top that with a little butter, and then it is going to be ready to serve. So this is possibly the easiest quick bread that you can make. You don't have to wait on it to rise twice. You don't have to deal with yeast that may be out of date or gone bad or not active anymore. So I think that it's perfect to have as an alternative to homemade bread. And the bread recipe, the bread, the sugar, the salt, and the beer are all basic components, and you can add to it what you want, what flavor profiles you like, so you're not limited to just this particular type of cheese or this particular herb. This bread is best savory, so do keep that in mind. While you're not left with a heavy beer taste, it is more of a sourdough flavor because of the addition of the beer. So this bread is fantastic, and it will make you look like an ace in the kitchen, like you spent 2 days making homemade bread. And you spent about 45 minutes. So that'll just be our little secret. So we hope that you try this rosemary beer bread and make it your own. Add a little flair to it or a little something different, and then send me a message. Let me know what you did with it. I am loving the fact that people are taking our recipes and making them their own. Our goal is to get families in the kitchen cooking together and eating together and having that bond of fellowship where you almost disconnect from today's devices, like this one, and reconnect with one another. And what better way to do that by breaking bread together. So from the Buttered Home, we hope that you are following us on all of our social media channels. We cook live over at Instagram and Facebook every Monday night, almost every Monday night, except when we need a night off. And that's a lot of fun. So if you have not visited us on our social platforms, be sure you do that. Also, if you're new to our channel here, be sure that you hit that subscribe button and ding the bell so that you can be notified whenever we drop new videos like this one, because we want to get you in the kitchen too. And no matter if your kitchen's messy like mine, all the more reason to have fun with it and fall in love with cooking again. So from the Buttered Home to your home, we love you guys. Bye.